was a reprehensible fellow. The dregs in the bottom of your beer were more palatable than Jack. He lied, cheated, conned his way through life. There was even a rumour that he tried to sell his mother once. I'm not sure how founded that rumour was, but it gives you an idea of what sort of person we're dealing with here. Now, when the devil got to hear about how awful Stingy Jack was and all of his bad deeds, he started to wonder why he was still roaming the earth. And he needed to come and see if Jack really was as bad as everybody said. However, it was of no surprise to anybody when the devil did come up from hell to claim Stingy Jack. Now, when the devil first came for Stingy Jack, Stingy was walking his way along the path beside the river. There was the river to his left, and to his right was a patch of turnips. It meant that the smell from the turnip patch during the autumn was not all that different to the sulphur you might associate with the devil. And so it was that Stingy didn't quite realise who it was that he'd met on that dark and misty night along the river path. He did, however, notice his cloven hooves. That kind of gave it away. "Stingy," said the devil, "I have heard of your ways, and I believe that you are worse than me. I have heard that you lie, you cheat, you con, and you have no real sense of justice. That you've never paid for anything in your entire life, and that you certainly have never worked a good, honest day's work. Is this true?" Well, Stingy was kind of banged to rights, wasn't he? And he had to admit to the devil that yes, that might be true. Given that he'd had a couple of pints in the pub, his lips were a little looser on this subject. He began to tell the devil of all the terrible things that he had done, and the devil stopped him halfway through and said, "Now, Stingy, if even half of those things are right, you need to come with me, for earth is no place for you, hell is." Well, Stingy didn't like the idea of this, and he looked at the devil for a couple of minutes, and then he said, "Okay, you have, after all, got me banged to rights, old Nick. However, it would be really nice if we could go to the pub and have just one last pint. What do you reckon?" Well, the devil thought that actually that wasn't an unreasonable request, for he was far less stingy than the aforementioned Stingy Jack. And so it was that they went back down the river path to the local inn. When they entered the inn, as you might expect, a large gust of frosty air came in with them, both on account of the devil and Stingy Jack. Everybody in the pub recognised that sulphury smell and those cloven hooves, and they all moved along the bar to make way for Stingy's visitor. They approached the bar and they asked the barkeep for 2 pints. When he had poured them and put them on the bar, Stingy turned to the devil and said, "Well, as you know, I've never paid for anything in my entire life, so I think you can pay for these pints, can't you?" Well, old Nick looked him up and down. "I'm the devil. I don't carry money," he said. "Why should I have to pay for anything?" Well, the barkeep was quite happy to agree with this as well. However, Stingy was not. He said, "Look, come on. You've got to allow me at least one honest deed at the end of my life. Before I spend an eternity with you, we must pay for these pints." So the devil turned himself into a silver coin and placed himself on the bar. Now the barkeep was not going to touch that silver coin, not when it used to be the devil. Stingy Jack was, though, and he reached forward, took hold of that silver coin and placed it in his pocket next to the cross that his mother had given him. Now, if you place the devil anywhere near a cross, I think we all know what happens. It's searing pain for the devil, and even in his silver coin form, this was still the case. And he started to holler from that pocket at Stingy Jack. "Let me out," he was shouting. "Let me out, so that I may take you with me to hell where you belong." And Stingy, well, he opened the pocket and he called in and he said, "There's no way I'm letting you out. Not until you agree that you will give me an extra 10 years on Earth, for I feel I've earned it with this particular trick." Well, the devil had no choice. He would be trapped in Stingy's pocket, or he'd be able to return to his home if he gave him another 10 years, of course. And so the devil agreed. Stingy took out the coin, placed it on the bar, the devil turned himself back into the devil, and disappeared back down to hell. And so it was that Stingy Jack ended up with an extra 10 years on Earth. The devil did come back for Stingy, though, because he never forgets a deal. And so it was in 10 years' time, on that same river path, there appeared the devil once more. Stingy was ready for him this time. He knew 10 years to the day that the devil would be back. He knew he wasn't going to be able to trick him twice with the pint, though. When the devil appeared, Stingy did say to him, "Yep, okay, no problem. You've given me an extra 10 years, you've kept up your half of the bargain, now it's my turn to keep up my half." Well, the devil thought that this was going to be easy this time, and as they walked together along the path, they passed an old apple tree, and Stingy started to reminisce about this apple tree. "I remember when I was younger," he said, "I used to scrump apples from this tree. Oh, they were delicious. If I could just have one memory to go to my eternity in hell with, it would be the taste of one of those apples." And the devil looked at him. He knew what was coming. "Do you think that perhaps you could get me one of those apples?" "You can get it yourself, Stingy," said the devil. "I don't have a problem with you bringing an apple with you." "Oh, but I'm getting old now, and my knees are getting sore, and I'm just not really able to climb trees like I was before. But you, I reckon you could shimmy up there, no problem." Well, the devil really never was somebody to turn down a challenge, and so he shimmied up that apple tree to get Jack an apple. As soon as he was up there, Jack pulled his penknife out of his pocket and scored crosses all the way around the trunk of that apple tree. The devil was stuck. He could not come down past those crosses. It would cause him excruciating pain. And so he started to yell at Jack that he wanted to come down and he should let him down. Of course, the same thing played out, and Jack asked for another 10 years. The devil was happy to give Jack whatever he wanted. He just wanted to get home and away from this terrible person. So Jack crossed out all the crosses, and down came the devil, and he went back down to hell. Now, after 10 years, the devil didn't come back for Stingy. He just didn't want him after all of that palaver. It was just going to be too much trouble, to be quite honest. So, well, Stingy thought he was home free. Now, there are two things in life, dear listener, that are most definitely going to happen, and that is taxes and death. And well, death was coming for Stingy Jack. He'd lived a long life, not necessarily a good one as we've heard, but he had lived a long life for somebody that drinks regularly in the pub. Now, he had been on one of those evenings in the inn as he was staggering along that river path with the river to his left and the turnips to his right. He tripped on a root of that apple tree that he tricked the devil in, and he fell over into the river. He tried to steady himself with a turnip and managed to pull one out of the field. Down into the river he fell. Face first he fell, and as the air left his lungs, the bubbles glittered in the moonlight. It was quite a peaceful death, really, given Stingy's life. But died he had. And so he found himself in that liminal space between heaven and hell. Some call it purgatory, some just call it a liminal space. It's dark, there's not much going on, and there's very little choice over what is going to happen to you. Stingy realised where he was and thought he would try his luck at heaven. At the end of the day, the devil hadn't come back for him after that second 10 years, so maybe he'd been forgiven. Who knows? So he went up to the pearly gates to see St. Peter, and he knocked on those gates. St. Peter looked him up and down. "Now, Stingy," he said, "I've heard of your life. You've lied, you've cheated, you've conned, you even tricked the devil, I heard. There is no way that you have a place in heaven. You'll have to go across the other side. Go and knock on the doors of hell and take your chances there." Fair enough, thought Stingy. It's a fair cop. And so off he went across purgatory, across that liminal space, the dark plains, and off he went to the doors of hell. He knocked on those fiery doors. A little slidey peephole opened, and there were the eyes of the devil. "It's you," said the devil. "Yes," said Stingy. "I've arrived. I'm here to spend my eternity in hell, as you wished all those years ago." "No," said the devil. "You caused me way too much trouble on earth. There's no way I'm going to let you into hell." "What am I going to do?" said Stingy. "It's dark out here. There's nothing to do. There's nobody to talk to. Certainly nobody to trick or con or lie to. It's going to be really boring." "That's right," said the devil. "And it's dark," said Stingy. "I can't see. You can't leave me in the dark." "Well," said the devil, "I'll tell you what. I shall give you one burning coal." And he handed out one burning coal through the little peephole. "Carve out your turnip, put the burning coal into the turnip, and that'll be your lantern for your eternity in purgatory." Well, there's not much else that Stingy Jack could do. He carved out his turnip, he placed that burning coal in it, and he became Jack of the Lantern. And that is why, at this time of year, we carve out turnips, or in many cases pumpkins, and we place that little light into it to remind ourselves of Jack of the Lantern. And should he ever return to this earthly plane, well, it will be nothing but trouble. And so therefore we carve these gruesome faces in these turnips and pumpkins in the hope that it will keep Stingy Jack exactly where he belongs, in that dark plane of purgatory.